We are less than 1 month until the start of the next school year, and there are looming challenges for a number of classrooms.
This evening, the CCSD Board of Trustees met. Addressing the critical shortage of teachers and other staff was on the agenda. Kim Passoff outside the CCSD building for us on Flamingo with what happened there tonight. Kim?
Yeah, so it was a quick meeting lasting for just about an hour. The agenda promised a presentation on how the district planned to get more teachers, but this presentation never happened, and the district didn't say why. Still, the teachers who came here to hear it had a lot to say.
All over the country, the teacher pipeline is drying up. It used to be that any of us could be easily replaced. That's not the case anymore, is it?
Vicki Kreidel has been with CCSD for 25 years. She says now teachers face low pay, high risk, and an impossible workload. So many are leaving.
It does little good to invest in recruiting when we know many of these educators will not stay. There's no indication that CCSD is doing anything to correct some of the retention issues.
CCSD tells Fox 5 right now, heading into the new school year, they still need to fill 1,300 positions.
If you want to attract more educators to CCSD, then listen to the ones who are doing it.
Kelly Edgar, a teacher with CCSD for 26 years, says safety is now a big concern.
One of the reasons many of my colleagues are leaving this district is lack of student and parent accountability. Because of one-size-fits-all restorative justice and behavior plans, we have seen an increase in aggressive student behavior.
Another big issue, teacher pay.
Veteran teachers have never received a cost of living raise that is actually commensurate with the cost of living.
CCSD included slides in their agenda for a presentation on the critical labor shortage, but no presentation was given. The plan was voted through without discussion by the board. We looked through the presentation. Strategies to recruit new teachers to CCSD include recruiting through historically black colleges, universities, and Hispanic-serving institutions, and decreasing employment application processing time. What was discussed by trustees? A plan to hire a certified librarian for all CCSD schools.
There were students who went all the way through their K through 12 experience not having a single librarian. That's appalling.
And the board did approve a new hire to help with recruitment. Warren Schillenberg, a former superintendent of Nye County, no longer with Nye County, has been brought in for talent acquisition. He's in charge now of recruiting teachers, support professionals, and educators. Reporting live tonight, Kim Passoff, Fox 5 News, local, Las Vegas.
CCSD also wants to start school earlier at about 50 underserved schools this school year. CCSD says it needs contract waiver approval for additional instructional time, but the largest teachers union, CCEA, says the school district is refusing to pay teachers what they deserve.